for another edition of Living the Dream.
Live the dream, baby. Live the dream.
You go, Beto!
Yeah, you're living the dream, all right.
Yeah, I'm living the dream.
I'm living the dream, as you say.
Dream.
It was all a dream. Me and Beto rolling in the limousine.
Go, Beto!
Yes, the name of the podcast is Living the Dream, but every Thursday night we are doing something special and different for the boxing fan. It started off as just, hey, Joel Diaz, you want to be my guinea pig as I try out something new? As I taught myself a new project, and then we introduced Roberto Diaz, and next thing you know, we have the Diaz show. Joel Diaz, Roberto Diaz, and Beto unofficially Diaz. We are going. And of course, this show is live on YouTube, and you know we're here, señores. Saludos, saludos, saludos.
Salud.
Salud.
Cheers.
It's a nice hot day in Southern California, and if you're listening to the podcast version, only the audio version, make sure you watch YouTube. Go to Beto Duran, and you can check out the YouTube version. Joel, let's start with you. What are you drinking today?
I got whiskey, whatever. Right now I changed my thing. It's a little darker over there. It's lighter over here.
There we go. Roberto, what do you have? Oh, you went outside this time.
I went outside. It's beautiful Southern California weather, so I gotta enjoy it as much as we can. We're not as stocked up as Coach, but look, we got right now. We got cervecita.
I'm pretty sure you are, Roberto, but you're just not in the right spot.
We have a little champagne, and then we're gonna finish it off with a little shot of vodka.
Oh man, and Sulem Urbina is watching us right now.
As things get heated up with you.
As Sulem is watching right now. Saludos, Sulem. She said, shots. I've been here every show. Sulem, as you remember from the first show, me and shots did not go well. It's the same bottle. It's almost over. But no, I'm going to try to be professional, but we are going. And saludos to everybody that's watching us right now. Coach, let's start with you.
Saludos, Sulem.
Coach, let's start with you. What did you do to your truck?
Did you see what I did to my truck? Watch. Well, the thing is this. We work for the Boys and Girls Club. So they notified Antonio and me and said, this situation, we cannot have the kids at the gym. If you guys want to train professional fighters, it's okay, but no more than a group of 6. So they gave me the opportunity to train some of the pros that are still here, but we can't train the kids. So what I did was, I have a friend, he's a welder. I called him up and I said, hey, I have a great idea. I gave him the measurements to the hitch of my truck. I go 2 feet and then go up 6 feet and go 8 feet across, 4 and 4. And I want you to weld this for me. It's an attachment that I got on the hitch of my truck, and I can hang 2 punching bags. So actually I have a mobile gym. I can drive my truck and have 2 punching bags hanging in the back. So what I do is, I go to the ranch, and I told Antonio, you know what? These kids have been calling. They want to train. They're just bored at home, you know. So what I do is I drive to the ranch in the afternoon. I park my truck, and I set different training workouts for them, separate from each other. And we train. Antonio does mitts with 1 kid while 2 kids are hanging the bag. I'm doing mitts with another kid. So we got like a mobile gym on my truck, basically.
Jeez.
And on the weekends, on Saturdays, we go up to the mountains, up in the desert, up in the middle of nowhere. And we use the sand dunes. We use the truck and whatever we got. So, I got a mobile gym that I got on my truck now.
That's awesome. Because that's improvising, Beto. I mean, at these moments like this, you got to come up with solutions. And that's exactly what Joel did. I mean, he came up with a solution. And as crazy as it is, it's very innovative. And you got to applaud that.
I can actually drive to your truck. I can drive to your house, back up into your driveway, and I won't even get off my truck. You can get a workout and leave, and you can just sell me $50 an hour or whatever you want.
You know what? You're joking? Coach, you're joking, but honestly, there might be some people that take you up on that offer because it's smart.
Look, I can just back up into your driveway. I won't even get off my truck. Hey. As soon as you start punching the bag, the clock starts ticking. And just pay me through Zelle or whatever. No, I'm just kidding. My brother told me that because on the back of my truck I got mats, I got jump ropes, I got slash hammers, I got some weights, and I can put a little course. I can put a little workout on somebody's driveway, like I do here at my house with my family. Like I go to the backyard and I can set up a little obstacle course, and I can work them for 30, 45 an hour, you know. And now that I got the 2 punching bags on the back of my truck, I mean, even my brother Julio, he made like a big old thing. It's this mobile gym. I mean, we can come to you. We can meet you at the Target parking lot or whatever. You know, we're just making jokes about it, but it's been helping us. A lot of kids love it. I actually told my friend to make me another one where I'm gonna have a speed bag, 2 punching bags, and I'm gonna have a double M bag. You know, so I can have everything right off the hitch of my truck.
You know what, Roberto? It's a business. The Diaz show is bringing business to people.
It's a Diaz thing.
It's a Diaz thing, and you know what? It's going on the road now. We're gonna go hit state to state to state. You leave it to me. I'll go get the contracts. You just bring the truck.
That's it, Roberto. You deal with the contracts, and I'll just pull up. You know, we can. I can go to a driveway. We can go anywhere. You tell me where I park, and you just work.
I think we hit Arizona next since it's close by. Sulem, get ready. Get the checkbook ready. We're hitting Arizona next.
You know,
Easy work.
As much as we're joking, it might not be a joke because you mentioned it. You pull up in somebody's driveway. Hey, okay, Emilio and Sal Sanchez, they're brothers, same house, one bag. There you go, right? It's wow. You know,
one of my brothers called me the other day and says, "Hey, what would it take for you to just back up into my driveway so I can get a good workout?" I go, "Just call me. I'll go over there and just do it." You know, I mean, recently I go to the ranch, and on the way back, sometimes the other day, you know, I drove halfway and I had the bags hanging as I'm driving on the road, and people are honking and just giving me thumbs up, like, "Hey, it's great," you know, whatever it takes.
And Roberto, for you, do you talk with the fighters on a daily basis, or how does it work for you? Because you can't make fights right now.
No, we can't make fights. So now is the moment that, you know what, we've been reaching out, and I've been talking to managers, trainers, fighters, and just, you know, checking up on them more than anything, making sure that, you know, whether it's through social media, whether it's through WhatsApp, whether it's there's communication, just making sure that they are mentally motivated, that they don't just, you know, hey, you know what, forget it, I'm quitting, I'm gonna go do something else, and because that's a shame. You know what, we're all going through the same situation right now, so we all have to support each other.
Yeah, definitely. So I was telling you guys, going back and looking at what this show is evolving, because honestly, it started off as Joel just telling me stories, and I wanted to drink and listen to them. That's what it was. I felt like I was being in the backyard. We brought Roberto in last week, and the stories that you gentlemen are telling us, it really does feel like we're in the backyard on a Saturday. We're not going to sell it and just sit there listening. And that's what the cool part is, because there are so many different boxing podcasts that you guys have been on and different boxing shows. And I think we're on to something that's different. And I wasn't even trying to do a show. I was just trying to pick your brain like I always do. And it got me going. When I went back and watched last week, I caught myself as the interviewer listening to you and the stories because they were so good. There were so many different stories out there. So what I decided to do was ask a couple stories. Ask for a couple stories from you two, and then at the end of the show, we'll have the fans ask a couple questions to you. And what I decided to do was, what stories do I want to hear? Because Joel can go one way, Roberto can go so many other ways. So as I said it, I'm asking you 2 different questions. Give me your stories, and we'll just go from there. So today's edition of Story Time with Joel and Roberto Diaz is going to get going. Joel, tell me the first time that you ever went to a live boxing match.
Professional boxing match?
No, not even amateur, whatever. It don't matter.
Well, the first boxing match I went to was when I fought for my first amateur fight, because going back to my story, when I came from Mexico, my parents would never let us go anywhere. I mean, we used to go out the back door. We used to jump out the window to go to a gym. So there was never a boxing match, whether amateur or pro. I just discovered a boxing gym just riding my bike and started training. And months later, Lia Espinosa comes to my dad and tells him, "Hey, your son has been boxing, and we would like to take him to a fight." And it was in Blythe. It was at a baseball field. Oscar Gracia, as a matter of fact, Oscar Gracia comes around once in a while, and I tell him, "Hey, Oscar, remember you were the first person," and I'll never forget. And I'll never forget because the story of my life was I was 11 years old, 136 pounds. Okay, and I was chubby kid, and I would go to school, and I felt embarrassed. I was overweight, 11 years old. So my dad, tells Lia Espinosa, "Okay, that's fine." My dad didn't agree with it, but Lia Espinosa applied the pressure and says, "You know what, your son can fight. Let's take him. It's an amateur show." So we go to Blythe. I'm sitting on the bench. Everybody weighs in, and there was no fight for me. And as a matter of fact, today I was talking to Oscar Gracia, and I go, "I'll never forget you for that." And he's laughing. I said, "Remember when I was sitting on the bench, and I was like on the second level, and then Lia Espinosa tells you, 'Hey, there's no fight for this kid'?" And he goes, "How much does he weigh?" 136 pounds. He goes, "Oh, there's this kid right here." So he tells the other kid by the name of Javier Basilio. All his family were boxers. One of his cousins was an Olympic Pan American gold medalist and whatever, come from a boxing family. So Lia Espinosa tells me, "Stand up." So I stand up, and I'm on the first step of the bench, and the other guy's on the floor, and he's still taller than me. And they're like this, "Oh, they're about the same size. It's a match." I go, "What?" So I fought the kid. Okay, he was bigger than me and whatever. And I'll never forget to this day that I was so nervous. The guy was big. I remember every time in between the rounds, every time the bell rang, I was nervous. I was getting beat up. And when the bell rang, I didn't know what corner to go to. I was so lost. I was like, "Where's my corner?" So, okay, I remember I was
How old were you?
I was 11.
Okay.
So I lost my first fight. I lost my second fight. I lost my third fight. I lost my fourth fight. Okay. So, but to me, it was like, this is not for me. It's like any average kid that comes to a gym, I lost my first 4 fights, and I remember I used to wake up in the middle of the night and go to the living room and watch my second place trophies. But I love my trophies. And then I would say, "Nah, you know what? Boxing is not for me. I'm gonna quit. I'm gonna go do something else." I would wake up the next morning, I would put on my hand wraps and go run. Right now, up to this day, I will remember, why would I put on my wraps to go run? I don't know, but I would do it. Those are the stories that we laugh about. Why would you put your hand wraps on to go run in the morning? That was me, because I would see movies, I would see Rocky, and they put the wraps and they're running with. So me, before I go running, I put on my wraps. And up to this day, I'm like, wow. I would imagine people laughing at me. Well, this guy is running, and there was times I discovered a dog 2 streets down from where I live, and that dog always chased me. So I used them in my advantage. Like I would go, and as soon as he started chasing me, I would do the sprint. And one time he almost got me before I jumped the fence. So I stopped chasing I started going that side. But those are good stories.
Your first ever boxing match is the one that you're fighting in, and they measure you like this.
My first ever match was my own. Yes. And I still remember, like, "Let's just stand up." And I stand up, and then the guy is bigger than me, and he's standing on the floor, and I'm standing on the first step. And then they go like this. They go like, "Yeah, they're about the same height. It's a match." That's the way it was before.
Wait, was Razo the matchmaker? Porque así, right?
No, if he was Razo, he would have been on my side. He would have taken care of me.
Yeah.
I would have been the A side. If Razo would have been there, I would have been on the A side. And that day, I was on the B side.
And that's the thing, as Paulo's right there says, "Great story, eat, sleep, and live boxing, Joel Diaz." That's exactly it. And it's always curious to like how people are exposed to it, because a lot of it we always say comes from watching it, right? But when you go to a fight for the first time, Bobby, different world. What was the experience for you?
It's funny because, I was introduced to boxing because of my father. He was a big boxing fan, loved boxing, would go out to all the fights. And the story that I somewhat was told and remember was, it was Cal Palace. I don't even know who was fighting. I was probably like 10 years old. But back then, and Joel, you remember, before there was sponsors and beer sponsors, there wasn't really the ring card girl. And I'm going back many years. I'm older than Joel.
Cal Palace is San Jose?
San Francisco.
Oh, San Francisco.
It was like a major venue out there for boxing. And there wasn't ring card girls. So there was, at the event, they would give hot dogs away if the little kids would get up and do the ring card, show the round. So my dad says he started looking for me and he couldn't find me. And he got nervous. Este cabrón, ¿dónde se fue? And next thing you know, in between rounds, I'm up there as the ring card. I didn't have the sexy walk that they have today, but I was walking, showing the round, because when you came down, they'd give you a hot dog. And I love going to the fights because I wanted my hot dog. I didn't even care about boxing. I didn't even care. To be honest, I don't even know who fought or who was in the box. But obviously, through the years, watching it at home, the big fights and everything, I became a huge fan as well.
How old were you?
My first experience, I think I was 10. I think I was 10, 12, no older than 12.
Okay. And you got the hot dog.
And I think I went like 2 or 3 times because maybe they were short on kids that day. So I kept come back for your next hot dog. Absolutely. I'll be back on rounds 5 or 6.
And then you were hooked after. Were you a boxing fan before that, Robert?
No. I think the first fight I ever saw, and I try to always remember which fight was it. I think it was like a Muhammad Ali Ken Norton fight.
Okay.
On TV.
Yeah.
And I mean, to this day, Muhammad Ali is my idol. I mean, I got my car plates or Muhammad Ali tribute to him and everything. But I became a fan more as a diehard fan during Salvador Sanchez and Sugar Ray Leonard era.
Yeah, the TV is what
more in the 80s.
Yeah, the TV gets you hooked, but as I say, it's when you're there for the first time, it's like, whoa, it's completely different. Like, we got to put that experience is because when you walk in, you're like, okay, and when you see blood that close, and when you're a little kid, I know that because the first time I took my daughter to a fight was Robert. You were there. We were in Salinas, and at whatever that little softball venue is at. And we're there, and she's like, I don't want to go. And she sat there. She's like, Dad, this is cool. Like, I think she was like 5 years old at that time. And now she goes, and when Joelle, she sits with your daughters. And just, it's something about being there that you can't quite explain because, first of all, to see 2 grown men beat each other up or ladies beat each other up, it's not good. But it's a vibe. It's an energy.
Absolutely. And that's one thing I tell people that have never been to a fight. I said, look, on TV, you could actually see it much better because you get the commentators telling you inside things. You hear stuff going on in between rounds. You get the replay. So there's nothing better than really a ringside seat on TV. But the atmosphere that you live in a live fight is way different. I mean, you can become. I mean, somebody that's never seen a fight goes for the right fight, and they become a hooked fan forever. I mean, look, personally for me, everybody's had. I grew up in the Chavez era. I went to many Chavez fights. He brought fans from all different social lives. All different statuses. You brought the poor together, the rich. You brought everybody together for one night. Then there was Oscar that brought in a different crowd. I mean, Oscar brought 80% of the crowd was women. But Ricky Hatton? Oh my God. His fan base?
Yeah.
So if you've never been to a fight and you go to one of Ricky's fights, now you hear a band playing.
Yeah, we're going to get into Ricky Hatton. We're going to
soccer ambience. I mean, that makes you a fan right
That is pretty cool. So I was telling people that just joined us right now. Thanks everybody joining us on YouTube Live. It's the Diaz Show. We're going to do it every Thursday night as long as these 2 gentlemen agree to it. And, you're sipping in your drink. I see your comments. The questions right now, if you're on the comment section, just leave comments. Later on, we're going to take questions for you. Oh, you got a shot, Roberto? Shot of what? Man.
That's vodka.
Boquita.
See? Vodka.
Then I guess I'll do a shot of tequila because you did the vodka. Joel. Well, no soy hombre, but I'm about to become one if I hang out with the Diaz. So there you go. Woo! I'm getting better, Joel. I'm getting better with the tequila. I'm actually almost finishing it.
It's all about practice, Beto. It's all about practice.
Man, no
Keep
kidding.
practicing.
Look,
You
Beto,
get better at
Monday.
it.
You keep practicing every day, and we're supposed to be on lockdown probably till June. You got
You'll be
2
fine.
more months. Hey, by the time July, you're gonna be up.
No.
You're gonna have a check engine light.
You know what?
And your liver's gonna be fine.
I'm going to start coming and do the show with hand wraps on. Ernie, send me some hand wraps.
Yeah. You're gonna be come to the show with your hand wraps on.
Yeah. And listen, for me, the first fight I ever went to, so I grew up in Carson, and in Carson there's an amateur gym called Fabella Chavez Boxing Center. So they used to do a bunch of amateur shows, and I was maybe in junior high, and we were playing baseball there, and I went in there because the kid I knew from the junior high said, "Hey, I'm a boxer," and I was a boxing fan because you go to the Chavez fights, you watch them, you know everything else. But I walked in, and this is an amateur show, and these two little morros, like in elementary, had the big old heavy gloves, and they're just wailing on them. And I'm not a violent person. I've never been in a fight. Knock on wood. I saw these little kids, and I was like, "Whoa, this is cool!" Just seeing the dedication, the discipline, of what they're doing, and I'm like, man, that's the day I had even more respect for fighters to see. Then I heard that these kids fight like 3 times a day, or they train. I didn't know that little kids had to do road work too. I didn't little kid. You don't go run. I never heard about that. So that's the first time I ever saw an actual sanctioned fight. It was these 2 little 8-year-olds going at it, and it was cool. Like a minute round, and it was just cool. It was just an experience, man. It was pretty awesome to see. Now, the second question I got for you, and no, I did not put an empty bottle of apple juice, Marco Pelayo. I actually drank tequila.
Marco knows something.
Hey, Marco knows you, Beto.
Beto, I think he knows you, dude. I think you're cheating us.
Yup.
All right, next week.
Nope.
All right, well,
Don't try it. Don't try it.
Look.
Don't try to switch it up.
Oh, you got the Tito's?
Hey, this is big vodka.
Okay, so next week when Marco actually sends me a bottle of tequila, I will unwrap it in front of everybody. Marco, 1942, please. Thank you.
Hey, Marco. Hey, you put you on the spot now.
Now, the second question I have for you. Joel, you mentioned that you're the little kid, 11 years old, as an amateur. How did you end up in Vegas for your first fight? Your first Vegas fight was what?
My brother, Antonio.
Oh. Against who?
Yeah, well, look, the first times going to Vegas for me, it was my brothers, honestly. Going to Vegas when Antonio fought on the Chavez de la Hoya card, and then it just started going on from there because by then I started helping Antonio, and he was fighting locally most of the time. So actually, I think it was Antonio's fight in Vegas, and then from there we just kept going to Vegas all the time. There was times in which my brother Julio would fight twice a month at the Plaza Hotel in old Las Vegas, and there was times in which twice a month we would drive to Vegas. But I think it was my first fight in Vegas that I went to was with my brother Antonio.
And that was on the Chavez de la Hoya undercard?
Yes, he fought Ahmed Santos. It was a great fight that night.
Okay, so Coach, your kid...
That's the one we mentioned last. It was Ahmed Santos. It wasn't. I thought it was the guy that Antonio fought twice, another Mexican kid. But no, it was Ahmed Santos. And I remember seeing Antonio after the fight at Caesars.
Sorry. It was Cañonero Quiroz. I'm sorry.
Oh, no, it was Quiroz then. Okay.
He beat Ahmed Santos for the title in Indio. And then when he fought Cañonero Quiroz was on the De La Hoya Chavez card. He fought him twice, yes. He beat him the first time and lost to him the second fight.
That's what I thought, because I was at the one where... Must have been. I think it was the Thomas and Mack Center.
It was
the second one.
Okay.
Thomas and Mack Center.
Yeah. So here it is. 1998, September of 1998. Antonio Diaz beat Hector Quiroz, who was 25-2-1 for the IBA super lightweight title on the night of Oscar and Julio Cesar Chavez. Luis Campas, Yori Boy, Larry Barnes. Corey Spinks was on the card also. Mia St. John was on that card. So, Joel, you get to Vegas as a guy from Michoacan, a guy from Indio. What is Vegas experience for you like in 1998?
I was like one of those Indios, like, you know, hey, everything was new to me, you know, like walking around, so many lights. Honestly, going to Vegas for my first time, honestly, I was basically like following everybody's lead, and I didn't know anything. I was just helping Lee Espinosa. We go here. We do what we do as a boxing team, you know. We go to the gym, go eat breakfast, we go eat lunch, we go train in the afternoon, and then go to the press conference and go to the weigh-ins and go to the fight and go home. A little bit of time in between, obviously, we have just go walk around and explore, get to know Vegas. You're excited because it's a different world, you know. It's a different world. Never in my life, you know, thought of going to Vegas and, you know, for a big fight like that, you know, a historical fight. Chavez de la Hoya and Antonio, my brothers, on the undercard, you know. So to not only to me, I think it was the same for Antonio and the same for Julio and my other brother Jesus, who all came along, because to us was something that maybe is the first time and the only time in our lifetime, you know, because we never expected to be where we're at right now. Thank God we have been to many different places in the world, but that was my first time in Vegas, and honestly, the first time is an experience that you will never forget, because you got the fear of, you know, what's happening here, what's happening there. I mean, we're broke, you know, we honestly didn't have no money, so we don't have the privilege of going to the casinos and spending money or buying stuff. You know, we're just going by whatever they give us, the food coupons, you know, food coupons here, food coupons there, and that's what we eat. I mean, there was times in which Antonio fought at the Orleans later, where I would be doing construction, and honestly, there's this story, and I'm gonna tell you.
Go for it, Coach. No, go for it.
I was doing construction, and I wasn't making enough money. Honestly, I was really bad, and I remember I had just started working that week, and I got unemployment, so I was getting like $240 for unemployment. Antonio went to Vegas. He fought at the Orleans that weekend, and he left with Lee Espinosa, and he calls me, and he tells me, hey, are you gonna come to my fight? And I had one car. I had a Mustang, a 1984 Mustang hatchback that, I mean, I drove it everywhere, but it would throw a lot of smoke through the engine because it was leaking oil, right? I remember it was embarrassing coming to a red light and stopping there. If you stop there in a red light, you're gonna see smoke coming on the sides and inside, you know? So like, turn a green light, let's go, because I gotta go. And I remember at that time, my brother Jesus got a gambling habit, like a bad hand gambling habit. And he was like going to casinos and playing blackjack and stuff. And then Antonio called me and says, are you gonna come to my fight? And I felt it in Antonio's voice. And I said, I don't know, Antonio, I can't afford it. Honestly, I don't have money. And then he would tell me, he goes, hey, we'll just come over here, find a way to come over here. He says, they gave us coupons to eat at the buffet. I said, let me think about it. So then I talked to my brother Jesus. I go, hey, Jesus, you want to go with me to Vegas? He goes, for Antonio's? Oh, yeah. I said, let's go. I go, you know what? I got an unemployment check, yesterday. I'm going to rent a car. So I go to Enterprise, and I rented an Aspire. An Aspire is a little car. Like a little car, little small car. And I remember I said, we're going to take this car. We filled it up with gas, and we stopped in Barstow. Okay? Rented the car and whatever. I remember getting to Vegas. I ended up coming to Vegas, walking into the Orleans with $40.
Wow.
And then walking in the Orleans, and then as we're walking through the casino, going towards the rooms, my brother stops, and he looks at the blackjack table, and he tells me, how much money do you have? I go, I only got $40.
No.
He goes, let me borrow them. I go, you crazy? I go, this is all we got for the rest of the weekend. Tomorrow's the weigh-ins and then the fight. And then he goes like this. I remember he telling me, what are we gonna do with $40? I mean, I said, I said, hey, well, at least we have. He says, look, if we lose the money, let me put it on the table. You got 40. He goes, I got 20, 60. He says, Antonio's got coupons for food. We can eat. And then after the fight, he'll lend us money to put gas to go back. All right. I say, here. I give him the $40 and he sits down and he's playing. He's gambling, right? It was in May. I will never forget it was May because it was close to Mother's Day.
Who did he fight? Do you remember?
Antonio fought
You said it was in May?
Mauro Lucero, I think.
Okay, I'll look for it.
Lucero.
All right, keep going, Joel.
And then I said, I would call him Shaggy. I go, Shaggy. I go, please, dude, come on. He goes, hey, just relax. Excuse me. So he's just on the table and he starts playing, right? He's gambling. And I'm right there with him. And then all of a sudden he gets 2 aces and he splits. And boom, boom, he gets a blackjack. So he starts making money. So I get nervous. So as I get nervous, I go to the bathroom. And then I don't want to get close to him because by that, I mean, I saw him and he had already like 4 towers of chips.
I know what I'm doing.
He had 4 towers of chips. So then I remember I got nervous and I got excited. So I go behind him and I go, stand up. And he goes, why? I go, just get up. You're already winning. He goes, relax. I go, Shaggy, I'm going to punch you right now. He goes, man, relax. So I get mad and I leave again. So then he's the type of guy that he's winning. He's like, yeah, and he's celebrating, high-fiving people and stuff. And I said, man. So then I come back. By then he has like 8 towers of chips. And he only started with $60. Well, long story short. And then he tells me, hey, relax. As soon as, he goes, cuando me cambie la suerte, me paro. What does that mean? Because they keep switching the dealer, and then all of a sudden, he lost 2 games in a row, and he goes, I'm done. So he split it, $1,800 each.
No!
$1,800.
Wow!
When he gave me those $1,800, and he goes, this is for you and this is for me. I bought my mom a Mother's Day present. I bought gifts, and I got, hey, thank God. Hey, that day, I mean, he stopped gambling, but there were some of my brothers that would tell him, hey, if I give you 100, would you double it? Yeah. Those stories, man. I mean, I'll never forget that fight at the Orleans. We went with no money.
Yep.
And we came back with $1,800. I mean, Mother's Day presents and stuff like that for Mother's Day.
And Antonio beat Mauro Lucero in that one. On the undercard was Bronco McCart was on the undercard of that against Rene Herrera at the Orleans. I don't even know where the Orleans. That's over there by the Rio, ain't it? Like,
yeah. They used to make a lot of fights out there.
Okay, my goodness.
Yeah, well, Jimmy Montoya for a while with Guilty Boxing that was just every month or more.
Wait, so Coach, you weren't part of Tonio's team, like there? You weren't like in this corner or anything like that?
Yeah, I was part of his team. I was at that time. I was already helping him train.
But you weren't going to the fight
because I was working construction and I didn't have no money and I couldn't afford it. So they went ahead because I had a day job. I had a construction job. I would go to work and they left to the press conference and the weigh-ins. So. I was supposed to go that day of the fight just to go work the corner.
Oh, okay.
But I was so tight that I was thinking maybe not go,
Yeah.
But when Antonio calls me and he tells me, yeah, you coming to the fight? And I'm like, I felt like, he's over there by himself. Okay, I'll go.
He was basically reaching out saying, I need you.
Yeah. That's the impression I got, that it's he's saying, I need my brother here. And he said, I'll give you money.
Because it was just him and Lee Espinosa, so Lee's always, over here. And Antonio was always alone in his room. So when he called me, he goes, hey, are you going to come to my fight? And I'm like, Antonio, I don't know. He goes, well, try to see. And I tell him my situation. He goes, hey, well, you don't need to. Just get here and I'll help you with the rest. We have coupons for the buffet and stuff. Okay,
This is.
And then after the fight, so that's what happened.
This was 1999, and he's the main event at the Orleans. It's not like he's fighting at Morongo or like Fancy Springs on a Tuesday night or at the swap meet or something. He's like a main event dude, and he's like, hey, my brother, please come here. I got coupons for you. Like that. As you guys said last week, el deporte de los pobres, and we really don't know what you guys go through and you suffer for it, man. Man,
No,
what
that's true. That's true.
what a great story. But Joel, like, so did he give you money for gas to go home?
Well, he didn't need to anymore. We had
Hey.
money.
He asked them for money for gas because he said, "Hey, I heard you won $1,800. So let me have for gas."
Hey, we didn't need to after that. We had money. You know, the thing is this: in our plans there was like, I mean, Mother's Day. Mother's Day was the following week, I think, and I remember, I mean, just thinking about buying presents for Mother's Day, and never it was in my mind. So as soon as I got that money, the first thing that came to my mind, hey, Mother's Day presents. You know,
That's
here it
cool.
goes. Buy some gifts and here, you know, and that's what he did. It was a great trip to Vegas. Antonio wins this fight. You know, Shaggy makes this money on gambling with only $60, and we come back with gifts, with a win, and I mean, it was great. We're blessed that, you know, and
Yeah. $60 is like one shot if you're hanging out with Roberto in Las Vegas.
oh, yeah.
Roberto, for you,
Speaking of shots. Salud.
we're gonna take shots. Oh, well, jeez, these are like grown. I don't even know why I'm pretending like even like I'm drinking tequila, but I'll do it. Okay, why not?
Why is Marco Pelayo saying that that's not tequila?
Because Marco
Does he-
Pelayo doesn't.
Is there
believe-
something that Marco knows that we don't?
Well, he
Ya,
knows.
nos está fichando. Nos está fichando.
Okay, here. So Lem Urbina has this comment. I remember I pawned my quinceañera rings to go to nationals. Didn't tell my mom. She still doesn't know. Well, she does now. But that's the struggle
Somebody
that
that say something.
boxers go through for that. Roberto, you went from being the hot dog king of the Cow Palace. Your first Vegas fight was what?
So my first Vegas fight, again, being a big Chavez fan, as they promoted the fight with Camacho, I wanted to go to that fight. I wanted to go. I had to be at that fight.
Chavez
For whatever
Camacho?
reason, Chavez and Camacho. For whatever reason, it didn't happen. And I was so disappointed. I mean, obviously, I watched it. I ordered the pay-per-view, watched it. But went on. My first Las Vegas fight was Chavez, Meldrick Taylor, the second fight.
The second.
And it was a tremendous card. I said last week, I think Finito Lopez was on at like 1:30 in the afternoon. When I got to the venue, I think it was MGM. One of the first fights at the MGM, if not the first.
1994.
Correct. And Felix Tito Trinidad fought against Yori Boy Campas. Now, I lived in Chula Vista, which is 15 minutes from the border. And I grew up going to Tijuana, watching Yori Boy Campas. I mean, I didn't grow up, but I would go watch Yori Boy Campas a lot. He was like 50-0, 52-0 when he fought Trinidad. And if I remember, Tito had like 20 fights. So I'm in the line day before the weigh-in, I think, at the sports book, going to place a bet. Now,
Yordi Boy was
obviously-
56-0 at that time.
There you go. And
Tito was
probably like-
23-0.
See, so it was like, now, of course, now years later, from a fan to a little bit more of the, the business end, and obviously we saw it in the fight, but Tito is a Hall of Famer. Tito's a legendary fighter. Yori was a tough guy who hadn't fought anybody. He had a beautiful record, credible record, knocking everybody out, but who?
Yeah.
However, at that time, just being a fan and aficionado that the Mexican has to win, I'm in line. I remember being in line, and I'm going to bet on Chavez. I'm going to bet on Chavez against Meldrick Taylor. However, I'm also going to bet on Yori Boy Campas. But the guy in front of me, un ranchero ahí, de Sonora.
¿No era Joel?
No. Era de Sonora. No de Michoacán. But he shows up right in front of me, $50,000 on Yori Boy Campas. And I'm like, holy shit. So right away, I'm thinking, I thought Yori's going to win. Obviously, this guy thinks Yori's going to win. You know what? I can't bet. And now I'm next. And I'm thinking, I can't bet $300. And that's what I was thinking of betting.
Yeah.
And I was like, because I was saving the rest of the money to put on Chavez against Taylor. So I said, you know what? I'm going to put the Yori money and the Chavez money and everything all on Yori. Then I'm going to win I'll come from the venue, I'll come in cash, and then I'll put it on Chavez before Chavez's fight starts. And then that's what I'm gonna do.
Oh.
I put $1,000. I had like $700 for Julio and $300 for Yori. That was my. So I put $1,000 on Yori. I go back. Now it's fight night. The fight starts. If you guys remember, in the second round, I think Yori with a little short left hook, which was his punch. Boom! Down goes Tito.
Yeah.
Down goes, and I jumped. Yeah!
You wanted to collect already?
I was already on my way to the sports book to collect. Hey, I won. But as the year showed us, every time Tito went down, he got up angry, and he almost decapitated Yori Boy Campas that night. So when they stopped the fight, I think it was in the 4th round, I'm like, ya valió madre. And I was looking for the hot dog guy from the Cow Palace because how I was gonna have money to eat for the next couple of days while I was there. So
hot dog.
So
that was my first. I ended up having hot dogs. I think
you put $1,000 on Yori Boy Campas
because the guy in front of me did 50,000, so me dio un poco de valor. I'm like,
well, that guy also had una tejana de 20X. Like, you can't compare.
And I wanted after the fight, I was like, I wonder what he's doing. If I'm crying over my 1,000, obviously this was an older man.
But
yeah, I was young, but he was an older man, and he was like probably, no big deal. But to me, I was like, I want to see what he's feeling right now.
1990. So you were also at that time. It was 1994. Where were you working? Because you weren't in boxing yet. Circus City.
I think I was at Circuit City. Yeah.
So you took your Circuit City.
I think I started at Circuit City. I started it like in '91.
Okay, so you're at Circuit City, blue collar, hardworking, hustler, salesman, trying to get your young life going, and you're like, "Fuck it, I'm feeling I'm feeling it." Because we've all done that. We go to Vegas. Now, I've been to Vegas with $60, so I ended up there with $60, and you feel good, like, dude, Roberto. You're like, all right, I'm gonna do this, yeah. And then what happens? You get a little extra because you're in your 20s and you're like, yeah. Then you're like, fuck. Right?
Yeah.
But the first Vegas fight, once again, if you've ever been to a fight, amazing. But when you're in a Vegas venue and everybody's beautiful, hasta los feos se miran bien bonitos, right? MGM Grand, Bobby, like walking into that building, knowing you're like, that's my guy, Yori boy.
And you know what? Here's the funny thing. Again, obviously, we don't know what's going to come in the future. I never thought, and I said it last week, to me, it's still a dream come true, living the dream. Mm-hmm. To be working in boxing, working with these tremendous athletes, working with people like Joel that give back to these young fighters and dedicate their lives to boxing. At the time, it was just a major fan. So I had bought my tickets weeks before. I remember, we all know.
Hold on, Joe, real quick. You bought tickets?
Yeah.
Wow.
Back then, back then it wasn't. I didn't know anybody.
But here's the thing, though. And I'm saying this as a subliminal. Yes, he bought tickets, so stop begging him for tickets, people. Yeah.
I didn't know anybody to ask for tickets, so I bought my tickets. They were way up in the boonies.
Yeah.
I remember getting there and going, damn, I can't believe I'm way up here for a Chavez fight. No way. I should be down there. And I don't know how. In between fights, I was there with some friends. We started making our way down. We started all the way. By the time Chavez and Taylor 2 started, I was on the floor.
Oh.
I was on the floor. We were drinking, like, because the waitresses would come by. You want a drink? Yeah, give us a drink. Smoking. People would tell us, hey, you can't smoke here. Oh, sorry. Oh, we'll turn it up. Smoking. And then to top it off, the fights are over. I'm trying to get into the press conference. Now, the press conference used to be somewhat up top at the MGM. At the top level, They had, like, curtains, and security wouldn't let us in. And I'm like, please. No, you got to be media. You got to be with.
Because you don't belong there. That's why they didn't let you in.
Exactly. All the fans have been kicked out. I don't even know how we managed to get up there. And he lets us in.
Oh.
He lets us in. He got tired and he goes, go in. I said, all I want is pictures. I get in. I'm there watching them talk and everybody's talking. And I see Trinidad. And I go up to Trinidad.
Wait. Wait. Hold on. You have no credential. You don't belong there. Tell me you got your best Stacey Adams on or something. You're looking good, right?
I told him I knew Joel Antonio. And Joel, so, no.
You think of immigration.
But they let us in. I was with a couple other friends. They let us in, but I'm the one talking. I said, hey, you need a discount at Circuit City, come hook me up, look for me. I'll take care of you. And I remember walking up to Tito Trinidad, and I don't know how they didn't jump us and security didn't throw it, like Trinidad's personal security, because I remember going up to him, and of course I've been drinking throughout the fight, and I tell him, look, I came for Yori Boy, he's my countryman, and I bet on him, and you made me lose, and you knocked him out, and you could see they were like, is he aggressive? Is he coming out of... But right before, I guess he was going to nail me, I said, but Tito, you're an amazing fighter. And I remember at that time, at that point, becoming a Tito fan. And I said, and I'd love to get a picture with you. You're amazing. And then it was like, okay, he's cool. So they let us take a picture and everything. But it's crazy because I used to try to sneak into press conferences. And today to be able to, host a press conference or handle a press conference or be a part of the press conference is just, again, living the dream.
It is actually surreal. But then again, it was different time. It was before 9/11. You can,
of course, security wasn't as tight. Look, after the press conference, Beto, Joel, we ended up, and I have footage. It's funny. I'll send it to you guys one day. We go back out, and hey, there's the ring. Because, they haven't broken down yet.
Oh, come on. Mm-hmm.
And my friend Rafa from San Diego goes, ¿Qué hacemos? Let's go in the ring. And we went inside the ring, and we started shadow boxing. Like messing around, like, hey, this is the ring that Chavez fought in, cabrón. Come on. And I remember, I think I had a beer, Corona, and I'm like, a ver, te voy a dar un madrazo. And then we were just joking around. Then security, hey, cabrones, you guys really don't belong.
This is why you can't take the Mexicans anywhere. You were good. Pictures. You were
all I needed.
You were so
I had
close.
To take a little further.
You were so close, and then all of a sudden you go back to your Chula and the Cal Palace days. This is why Cuñado and Razo get fired, because they don't know how to behave at times. That is an awesome story because, look, in this day and age where people are out there doing all kinds of different things, we're trying to get involved, this and that. But at the end of the day, you were a fan. And that night, Roberto, I'm going to follow up on this. You saw Frankie Randall win. You saw Gabriel Ruelas, Jesse James Leija. Ricardo Finito Lopez fought a guy, I'm not even pretending to say this name, who was 10-0.
From Thailand.
Sudachai Sang Moraka, I think.
And I think Juan Koji fought that night too.
Juan Koji lost to Frankie Randall.
Yeah.
But here's what I want to know. I'm going to ask both of you guys. I never experienced it. I've been there for Canelo fights. I've never been for Oscar. But a Canelo fight, there's an energy that is just awesome. Like the first time I worked one, it was wow. But a Chavez fight, for the people who never experienced being in the building, and I'll start with you, Roberto, what was that like?
Like I said earlier, I mean, Chavez brought every social life together. I mean, all Mexico was there. It was different times, different era. Obviously, I remember September dates for Chavez being full of concerts. Vicente Fernandez and Juan Gabriel. So all the women would go to see all the singers while the men would go to the fights.
Oh.
It was just 100% Chavez. It was Chavez mania, as it turned over later to Oscar. Like I said, the difference there were, I think the men were going to the concerts and the women were going to the Oscars. I think with Canelo, I mean, it's very similar today. It's probably the max we have at the moment, but
it's not on Chavez level, right? It's nowhere near the Chavez level.
No, because for whatever reason, I think it's our culture that in Mexico they try to bring you down as you're going up and stuff, and maybe Julio was a little different, but with Canelo, you have people that Mexican fans that don't support him. I think Canelo has a lot very similar to Barrera. Barrera was very popular with the Mexican fans in the United States, the Mexican American, the Mexican fans here, where Eric Morales was more popular with the Mexican fans in Mexico. And I think we see that with Canelo a lot. I mean, Canelo has fans all over the United States, all over the world. And then in Mexico, they're more critical sometimes of him. For whatever reason, why, I don't know. Because at his age, what he's accomplished has been amazing. Nobody else has the resume he has. Or even back then. But there's still not that 100% no matter who he fights.
Yeah. And it's with a Chavez, like I said, being around him a few times, from the media side where you're standing by him and people are like, es un sangrón, he never wants to take a picture. If Chavez stops for one picture, he's going to get mobbed. There's no way that he can stop for a picture because there's 100 people who are just going to run at him. And I've interviewed him a couple of times, and he's really cool when there's nobody around. I've noticed that about him, but it's the same adage of like some of the big-time athletes where you can't stop. And Joel, do you know him at all? Like Chavez?
Chavez?
Yeah.
Oh yeah, definitely. I mean, we've done when I was doing the ESPN. I would go to the ESPN in LA, and we would, do the Los Golpes together.
Oh.
Really nice guy. I did I think like 5 segments with Chavez. And as a matter of fact, the very last segment we did the very last segment of Los Golpes in LA with Chavez and Bernardo Zuna. And I was outside waiting, and I see Chavez coming around and then there's always people waiting for him.
Mm-hmm.
And he will be annoyed because he would tell me, "There are the same people here every day with the same pictures." And because he would like try to ignore him, and he will go in, and I'll go with him, and then he'll be mad because they won't leave him alone. And then he would tell me, "Man, these people don't understand. They're here every day, the same people, and they want me to sign the same pictures. So if I sign today, they'll be here tomorrow with the same picture again. I mean, they don't understand."
I can understand that, Joel, because look, when I was with Barrera, if I saw the same people and you see them all the time, the same people, and they come with a stack of like 10, 20 pictures, the same picture. That's not a fan. That's not a fan. That's somebody that I'm going to sell the pictures.
Yeah.
Exactly. And I contacted a couple of them, and I said, look, every time you guys come and he has to sign 10 pictures, that's taken away from 10 other people that are real fans that just want one. Let's do something. Let's set up private sessions. Hey, you gotta make money? No problem. You're gonna pay him per picture?
Yeah.
But he's gonna sit in the room with you, and he's gonna sign 100. But don't take away from the fan, because remember, I was the fan, and I hated going and the fighter not signing or this and that because of the guys trying to sell.
Yeah, it was cool.
So that always
Roberto,
was like, I could see why Julio was like, I see the same faces, the stack of pictures, the same picture, and a lot of times they'll say, "Oh, don't put a name, don't worry, because it's for sale."
Yeah.
Yeah, I've been around Julio many times when I was at the ESPN doing those segments for ESPN Los Golpes. I've been with Julio in Cancun.
Yeah. They love him.
Convention. Yeah, at WBC convention. He's been to Pepe Gomez's events when I've taken fighters over there. He's sitting ringside after the fight. We go. You know what? With Chavez, I have a lot of respect for the man.
Yeah.
And honestly, I probably have one picture with him, but I actually asked him for the picture when nobody's around at Segmento Los Golpes, because I know that it's hard because everybody's always pictures. And the last thing I want to do is I know a man that, is where he is, and that's him. A story I remember, Roberto, about betting money. I bet money on Barrera when he fought Morales at the Mandalay Bay.
What?
Somehow, and this is what happened. Antonio, Lee Espinosa, and I got tickets for the fight. I don't know how. We just ended up. We got floor seats. I remember when Antonio was doing well, he was, he was recognized as one of the best super lightweight fighters in that moment. So we get tickets to go see Marco Antonio Barrera and Eric Morales. We're sitting right there, and then everybody's like, hey, and Antonio would tell you, because Antonio would laugh at me, because at that time, we used to have gallos at the ranch and stuff. Hey, mi gallo, And then I think when Barrera came out, he came out, todo despeinado. Y ni se peinaba cuando salía el pinche camerino. Me fui guapo, Y le decía a Toño, ahí viene mi gallo. Y Toño, like, I know, todo despelucado, sin plumas. All right, whatever. We get in the ring, and Morales, and then people are betting. And there's this guy in front of me. And he's betting money on Morales.
Oh, the whole, I think it was at least, no joke, 80% Morales that night and 20% Barrera.
No way.
Obviously, Tijuana and Las Vegas, it's a 2-hour drive. So
really,
everybody was there for Morales.
But we were sitting right behind some officials that were not working that night because we're on the floor, like, ringside. So the fight starts. And before the fight started, this guy says he wants to bet, right? And he's only betting $40. So I go, hey, I got him. I got Barrera. You got Morales? Yes. So the fight's going on, exciting fight. The fight finishes. Everybody, Barrera won. I'm about to collect my money. And then they give it to Morales. I was mad. I wanted to fight for my $40. I'm like, who won? And I'm even telling the guy, who won? He goes, Barrera won, but he didn't take the decision. Okay, well, pay me. He goes, no, he didn't win. I was mad that day. I was Antonio. Hey, he knows. Even I go, and then this guy like, hey, I'm an official, but I'm not working tonight. Barrera won the fight. I go, hey, you see, give me my $40. I was mad that day. And then Antonio goes, hey, tu gallo despelucado no ganó. I go, dude, but I won the $40. I was still like walking out of the arena fighting for my $40. I remember that was
here's a little.
I bet $40 on Barrera.
Here's a little story on that fight, and the odds in the casino were like 6-1.
So Barrera Morales, the first one.
Yeah. Morales was a big favorite. Morales was the new up and coming. He was the world champion. They're both champions. But Marco had already lost. Eric was undefeated. Eric was the favorite going in, and no doubt, he deserved it. Marco really, really got to him and knew how to fight him. Obviously, we thought Marco won. Everybody, the majority of the people thought.
Oh, you were part of the team at that time, right?
I was a friend of his. I was invited to the fight. I had just met him shortly a year before, and it was a new relationship. I was a fan of Morales. I had met Morales in Tijuana. I was a fan of both of them, but I was a bigger fan of Barrera. So before the fight, as they're getting ready to walk out, and you could probably catch it on the HBO telecast, go to YouTube, Marco starts walking out, but security holds back the rest of the corner. And Sendai, if you guys know Sendai, he's
my
a
guy.
Japanese kid that did the mitts for Marco for many years. He got thrown to a table. He got thrown like against the table and everything. They wouldn't let him out in the walkout. So Marco walks out by himself for part of the walkout. And they hold the corner. We think at the time it was just to, throw Marco off and this and that, whatever. It didn't. After the fight, watch the fight. The WBC gives Eric a medal. That now it seems that they give it to like
everybody.
The guy that loses or something, they give him the medal, and the champion obviously.
Even Mr. Boxing Guru gets a medal for his podcast.
but Eric got his medal. Ask me where that medal is today.
Where's the medal?
That's the crazy thing. It's in Marco's mom's house. Eric, after the fight, look, we're on the podcast of Living the Dream. This is where everything can come out. But Eric probably will say, no, it's not true, or I don't remember. But after the fight, Eric walked over to Marco in the dressing room behind the scenes and said, hey, tú te la ganaste. This is yours. Marco has that medal in his house, his parents' house in Mexico.
What?
The medal that Eric was given. Because even a fighter knows, and Joel can tell you,
Oh yeah.
regardless if they get the decision or not, they know if they won or didn't. That was our indication that even Eric knew. Now, where was Marco a week after the fight? In Tijuana, at the clubs. We went out and had a great time. Again, remember, I lived in Chula Vista. He came over to the house. We had dinner, and then we crossed over the border, and we all went to clubbing in Tijuana.
Wait.
He didn't want to go. He was like,
You, Barrera, and Morales went out together?
no. Morales didn't go.
Oh, okay.
Marco came over to the house. We had dinner in Chula Vista. My mom cooked up some cochinita pibil and made dinner. And then we all went. Oscar Maldonado, who was Marco's right hand, Jorge Barrera, his brother, Marco, and some friends. We all went clubbing. And Marco was like, I don't want to go to Tijuana. Why Tijuana? Remember, Marco spent a lot of his time in Mexicali, where Oscar lived.
Yeah.
And I'm like, we got to go to Tijuana. Tijuana has always been, in Mexico, very knowledgeable and very important boxing venue, city.
Yeah.
They know boxing.
Tijuana is a boxing city.
Yes, they're very, very knowledgeable. And I said, Marco, trust me, vamos. And we went to a couple places, and so many people were coming up to Marco.
No way.
Hey, Marco, you're our champion, Marco. In fact, I'm sorry, I fast forward, but after the fight, when we went from the venue to the rooms, and everybody changed, and we were going to the restaurant to eat, from the elevator of the Mandalay Bay to that first little restaurant, which was like, it was the buffet then. I think it's like a noodle shop now or something.
Yeah.
But
it was a buffet.
It's right after the little convenience store.
Mm-hmm.
It took us 3 hours to get from the elevators to there because all the fans stopped Marco for autographs and pictures. And a lot of the fans, like I said, they were from Tijuana or from Morales, and they would all say, hey, hoy venimos por Morales, pero hoy tú ganaste, tú eres el campeón, y tú, and pictures and autographs, and that was the only consolation that night for Marco. Even though the judges didn't give him the fight, that consolation of the fans giving him the love and the support was almost as good as a victory.
So what happened that night when you took him to Tijuana?
Oh, the same. People were coming up to him. One guy, check this out, Joel, Beto. One guy, we were at a club.
And for those of you making your Adelitas and Hong Kong jokes, not there, the real clubs.
One guy came up to Marco and said, I shot up the screen when they gave it to Morales.
What?
Porque te la robaron. Y saqué la pistola y le disparé a la pantalla in the club. And we're thinking, okay, Marco, whatever this guy wants, get pictures. No vaya a hacer que saque la pistola ahorita el cabrón y nos ponga unos chingadazos.
Yeah, there's people like that are hardcore fans that take that really personal, you know. I mean, they see a fight, and obviously they see a different friend from the judges, and you know they take it really personal.
Hey, Joe, let me ask you, said Tijuana is a boxing city. Why would you say that? Because I know you've taken some of your fighters there. Why?
There's a lot of boxing activity in Tijuana every weekend. A lot of people don't know, but there's Tijuana is one of the cities in the border, close to the border that
El Rancho Grande bar.
A lot of boxing. I mean, Don Romulo Quirarte out there has generated a lot of fighters like Antonio DeMarco, you know.
Yeah.
He was part of Julio Cesar Chavez's team for years, and they always invite me. But there's a lot of boxing in Tijuana almost every weekend. Tijuana, Rosarito, Ensenada, that part over there. There's always boxing every weekend.
You know, right now, I want right now when you said that, Joel, it brings up something that's always bothered me. Don Romulo Quirarte, one of the greatest, I'm not going to say trainers, teachers.
Mentors.
Teachers.
Wait, what's his name again?
Don Romulo Quirarte. It's Romulo Quirarte.
Romulo
His kids are tremendous people. respectful people, but they're teachers. First of all, Don Romulo will not take a kid into the gym unless they're going to school. First, he says school is important. You got to keep going to school.
And he's in Tijuana?
But he's in Tijuana. He's a legend. I mean, he's a teacher of many of us. But one thing that's always bothered me is there's not enough credit to the trainers in Mexico on that side of the border. The Mexican trainers get awards, for trainer of the year a lot, but they don't really give these guys in Mexico that attention because they're not the famous fighter or what have you. But let's touch on Don Romulo, for example. Raúl, world champion. His name Dinamita Estrada, world champion. I think, correct me if I'm wrong, he worked with Maromero Páez for a while.
Ivaro Perez.
Antecas Medina.
Five-time world champion.
Yori Volcamp. I mean, so many. El Baby Cepeda, who I had the pleasure and honor of doing El Baby's last fight and Antonio Diaz's last fight.
Oh, wow.
Against each other. And we sold out there. I don't think Fantasy's ever had that big of a crowd besides the big ballroom. But there's so many great trainers like Cholain Rivero and Don Romulo. And of course, Nacho is the famous one that gets a lot of recognition through the years. Eddie Reynoso, Rudy Perez, que en paz descanse, was my mentor. And I mean, Rudy Perez trained Barrera from 6 years old, 7 years old.
Yeah.
Throughout his whole career, and didn't train a lot of other fighters, so he was never given a lot of credit. He trained Barrera, then he later in his career trained Maidana and trained Jorge Barrios a couple fights and stuff like that. So Pablo Cesar Cano, but they need to focus when it's like trainer of the year. It should be trainer of the year from around the world, not just from the U.S., not just from. And you know what, Joel? I mean, hey, that's a trainer of the year because it's not the fighter. It's not a trainer, for instance, and no disrespect. There's trainers that get fighters that are already halfway through their career and are already champions. And they get trained. To me, a trainer of the year or a trainer, not of the year, because you could have one good year and then, but a real trainer is a teacher that gets a kid like Joel, Timothy Bradley, from the amateurs. Now, Timothy Bradley, and here's my honest opinion, didn't have that extra talent that, he wasn't fast, he wasn't a big puncher, he wasn't a speedy,
Well, I've heard stories of Timothy Bradley at Thompson where he was the boring fight of the night. And he wasn't the one putting on the show. He'd win, he'd cut you up, technical, but it wasn't until Joel got him to the next level that it became Timothy Bradley.
I'll tell you. I mean, my personal opinion with Timothy is he worked his ass off.
Yeah.
And there's where last week we talked about it's not always talent. It's that guy that puts in that extra mile, that guy that works the hardest, the guy that's more dedicated. I remember the first fight that Camponovo did with Timothy Bradley with you guys on Showbox. I got the opponent. And all I was thinking of while I was watching the fight is, Alex is never going to call me again because Timothy was losing the fight. It was I think Mau de la Rosa had the other kid. He was like a Dominicano or something. They got cut. Timothy got cut. But Timothy had that perseverance that made up maybe for the lack of here or there. And he had the heart to go that extra mile, to go where the other guy wouldn't step a foot forward. So that's where you get a guy that says, look, he wasn't the most talented of the group, but between the teacher and his dedication, made it the furthest. To me, he's a Hall of Famer. I mean, he beat Pacquiao. He beat Marquez. He's beaten guys that it was like, if you knew Tim from before, no way. Yeah. And by the way, I won on the Timothy Marquez fight.
As long as you win.
And I won on the Timothy Pacquiao fight. I remember stepping outside saying, "Ya perdí," before the decision. and I'm like, oh shit! I ran back in there like, yeah, Tim.
Look,
Yeah.
I'll never forget a couple things in a lot of in the boxing sport. There's things you will never forget for the rest of your life. One of them is Don Romulo Quirarte has been my mentor since I started as a trainer. I met Don Romulo when I was a fighter, and one time he told me, mijo, lo que tú necesites. Don Romulo has never loaned his fighters for sparring to anybody, like, unless he had appreciation or he respected you or you were part of his team. When I asked him for Antonio DeMarco to help Julio or Bradley, he would, and he never wanted me to pay him, but I would pay him. I mean, I would give Julio gave Antonio DeMarco winning equipment and pay a month, I mean weekly, whatever. But Don Romulo would never allow it, you know. But we would. My first fight as a trainer, Roberto, my first fight as a trainer that I was going crazy, and honestly, was the first Pacquiao Bradley fight. The intensity of the fight, the hype of the fight, Bradley Pacquiao, the first one. I mean, me going to Vegas for that fight is like, wow, I don't know what to do. I was going crazy. I was so stressed out. You know, it's the biggest fight of my life. I'm here. What am I going to do? I felt like I was going crazy, honestly, that night. I remember calling Don Romulo and asking him for advice, and he was the one that calmed me down and told me, hey, mijo, everything's the same. Every fight's the same. It just has a bigger meaning, but hey, just take it as a normal fight, you know. Don Romulo Quirarte, I'll be grateful for the rest of my life for his advices. I remember him telling me, mijo, usted nunca pelea una foto. Usted haga su trabajo.
Wait, don't ever fight a picture?
Yeah, like don't ever fight like to be in the picture. Like there's people that always want to be in front of the picture.
Yeah.
Or
Oh,
Absolutely.
yeah, he goes, don't ever do that. He goes, mijo, usted nunca pelee por una. Usted haga su trabajo. Do your job with your fighters. Hey, only they know. God knows what you're doing with them. Don't ever try. He goes, and he was the one that told me la riqueza del hombre es la sencillez y la humildad. You know, that always remember that. And I'll never forget that from the Romulo. Those words from him. La riqueza del hombre es la sencillez y la humildad. Hey, and I will always.
That's what I'm saying, Beto. He's a teacher.
Don Romulo,
there's a
every
difference.
single one of his fighters, Beto, he sent them to school and university, and they all graduated. Antonio DeMarco, Marvin Quintero, all those guys that went to school and they got a degree. And then watch, watch another thing. Roberto Diaz called me one time and told me, hey, Joel, I have a fight for your brother Julio Diaz. Okay, he's fighting Rolando Reyes in Texas. Definitely, let's go. But then Tim Bradley had a fight against Kendall Holt in Canada. Julio is my brother. Timothy Bradley is the kid that I started. Okay, so Julio was already towards the end of his career.
And I'll say it for you, Coach. Julio's your brother, but Timothy Bradley is your meal ticket. He's the one that's going to make you money that night.
Okay. But it's not a meal
ticket.
No,
I'm going to say that. I'll say it because business side.
Yeah,
but you know, but to me, it's like a family.
That's my point. That's my point.
I mean, blood, one thing, you know. Tim Bradley, of course, you know, but we talked it over. I stressed for weeks. I couldn't sleep. So I figured it out. I called Don Romulo. I asked Don Romulo, would you do me a favor? You know, when I have a situation, Tim Bradley's fighting in Canada and Julio's fighting in Texas. Don't worry, mijo, I'll take care of it. I'll take Julio with me. Julio is a more seasoned fighter. He's been through a lot of wars. He has more experience. Bradley needs you. Don Romulo told me, Bradley needs you. I'll help you. Antonio and I will go with Julio. Okay. And Roberto will never forget this either. I go to Julio goes to Texas. He fights Rolando Reyes. To me, it was an easy fight for Julio. So I go to Canada. The day of the fight, I told my wife, please, let me know what's happening with Julio. So we go to the dressing room with Bradley, and Roberto Diaz was there. Roberto Diaz was in the same dressing room because who'd you have?
Librado Andrade.
Roberto Andrade was fighting Butte. So
No, he was fighting in between fight or between Butte. It was like a little 10-rounder tune-up after the first Butte, before the second.
So Roberto and I mean, at that time we've been friends and stuff. So he knew Julio, me, my family, whatever. So I remember Timothy Bradley settles in the dressing room. His dad, everybody, were putting everything together. And my wife, I text my wife. I said, how long till the fight? And she says, they're walking in the ring. So my wife and I are texting back and forth. And then my wife tells me, first round. And how is it? And she's like, it's a close fight. Close fight, close round. Second round, it was going back and forth. I don't know what round it was. When I remember my wife was not texting me no more. And I'm mad and I'm desperate. And I'm telling her, let me know what's going on. Why aren't you answering? So she's not answering no more. So I'm asking my wife, please let me know what's going on. What's going on? All of a sudden, I get a message from this random guy. And he's like, damn, Julio got knocked out. So then, no wonder my wife didn't answer her text anymore. So my wife didn't want to let me know, so I won't be worried. And then all of a sudden, I knew what was going on. So I put it together. I said, okay, my wife is not texting me back. Something bad happened. And when this guy texts me and says, Julio got knocked out, so I get my phone, I turn it off, and I put it away. I felt a knot on my throat, Beto. I felt a knot. I wanted to cry.
And that's worse, Beto, because not knowing is worse.
Yeah.
And then having to work the next fight.
Look, so I'm in the dressing room, and I felt a knot in my throat. I wanted to cry, but I held it in, right? And then all of a sudden, they start rapping Bradley, and I'm rapping Bradley, and I'm trying to make it seem like nothing's going on. And I remember Roberto Diaz walks in the dressing room, and he's telling somebody, hey, make sure Joel doesn't get his phone. Roberto's telling somebody, I remember, hey, but I already...
You heard that?
I heard when Roberto told somebody, hey, make sure that Joel doesn't get his phone. But I already had to turn off my phone. I already knew what happened. But I made it seem like I didn't know. So then I start rapping Bradley, and I try to laugh. I try to play it off like nothing's happening. We walk into the ring, and Bradley gets
First
dropped.
round. Yes, first round.
I mean, Tim Bradley's eyes went like slot machines, like back.
He was knocked out by Kendall Holt. He was knocked out.
So right there and then, everything came in 1 second. Like Julio got knocked out, Tim Bradley gets knocked out. I mean, everything
knocked
like
down,
the whole
knocked down.
He got knocked down, right? But then Bradley gets up, and when he looks at me, and I tell him, "Hey, relax, stay for the count. Take a deep breath." And he looks at me and he goes, "Okay, coach." And he gets up, he wins the fight.
Oh yeah, that was amazing.
That moment from the dressing room, getting the news of Julio getting knocked out, to the point where as soon as Bradley gets in the ring and Kendall Holt just drops Bradley really bad with a devastating punch, and I said, it's over. I just felt like my world is over, Good thing that Bradley came back up and won the fight.
That's the same thing I was mentioning about Bradley. It ties in because the guy trained so hard that he could come back from stuff like that. I mean, here's a guy that I heard the story once that right before a big fight, Joel, you could correct me if I'm wrong, he ran like 26 miles just to make sure he was in shape for the fight. I mean, no other fighter would do that because you're going to leave everything on the track. And this guy went 26 miles. Take it, not only 26 miles, but 26 miles in Palm Springs, Indio, with that heat.
Tim
that
Bradley,
to him was telling him, I'm ready for the fight.
Tim Bradley was a fighter that always ran the extra mile because he wanted to make sure that he was in physical shape to perform at his best. There was one time when I called Willie Silva and I said, hey, Willie, I said, can I get some sparring with Mauricio Herrera? And Willie goes, yeah, mijo, ¿cuántos rounds ocupas? I go, 6. Okay. So they come and I told Tim, please, tomorrow, don't run. It was a Saturday morning. I see Bradley walking in and I saw him and he's like, I see his face, he's tired, he's fatigued. So I go up to him and I go, you ran this morning, huh? He goes, yeah, coach. It's just a light run, 13 miles.
Jeez.
To him, 13 miles was a light run. If he wanted to go easy, he would do 8 miles. Light run was 13. One day, I'm telling you, he goes, I'm gonna go run, see how far, 26 miles. But that morning, he starts sparring Mauricio, and I had already told him 6 rounds only, because we were gonna pay him. And I knew where I was against. I was against Mauricio Herrera, Willie Silva, and they're my friends, but they like to obviously elevate their confidence by saying, oh, you know what, we went over there and this guy couldn't handle it. This guy's good. So in the first round, they went at it. Second round, Tim Bradley comes to the corner, and he's tired. I mean, tired to the point where he couldn't go another round.
Wow.
So in the third round, when he comes, he can't breathe, and he's like holding on to the ropes and squatting all the way down. And now I'm mad because we're in the third round. So then I'm really mad at him. So I remember I reached to the strap of his headgear, and I grabbed him like this, and I go, don't give me this bullshit. Look, I told him that. I go, I was mad at Bradley. I grabbed him by the headgear right here, and I bring him too close to me. I go, don't give me this bullshit. I go, you know what? These guys came for 6 rounds. And if I stop you right now, they're going to go back to Riverside, and they're going to be telling everybody that you couldn't go past 2 rounds with them. So I don't know what you're going to do. Take a deep breath and give me the best of your... He closed the second 3 rounds like if he was better than the first.
Yeah.
So he finished strong. But he wanted to just like, I'm done. But I was so mad at him that I grabbed him and I go, you better not give me this bullshit.
Yeah, those are some...
And Joel, even in the fight with Pacquiao, didn't he come back in a second round? Oh, I hurt my ankle.
He told me.
You said, okay, you want me to stop the fight? Or if not, then stop, talking about your ankle and go do your thing.
I thought, you want to go home? Or you want me to call the referee and say it's over? Or you want to ignore the pain and finish it off? Let's go. He told me after, maybe a year after, he told me, Coach, honestly, that night, if you would have told me, I'm stopping the fight, and you would have done it, I would have been fine with it. But, the way you act, the way you spoke to me that night, you just gave me that, like, okay, let's do it. And Timothy Bradley, I'm telling you, he might have not been a fan-friendly fighter, not power.
But you can't question it. You can't question it. And that's the beauty of this podcast.
He had a lot of heart. He had a lot of heart, a lot of balls, and he always pulled through. He knew my temper. He knew my commands, and he knew that if I told him, hey, you gotta go, you gotta go. He never said, no. And he told me, he goes, Coach, you know what? If that night you would have told me, hey, that's it, I'm stopping the fight, and if you would have done it, I wouldn't have complained. But the way you reacted in that corner, I said, fuck it, I gotta put through.
Because at the end of the day, you protect your fighter, but at the same time, you know what your fighter. Because you've told me many a times, there's been a lot of fighters who missed weight, and you said, porque no quería el weight, and we'll leave it at that. And salud to you gentlemen right now. I had to go get a beer. The only one I got left is a Stella. So salud, Joel, salud to you. And salud to you watching at home, to everybody. Rox Royal checking in, the Ace of SoCal, Mr. Boxing Guru, Leti Areola, everybody checking in. And it's been an hour, 25 minutes. We've been flying on this. And it feels so good. I'm telling you, we have a show here. I don't know what it is, but it's a great show because it's una plática. And when you're real and you're honest, it's amazing.
I'll tell you what it is, Beto. It's living the dream.
Yeah.
And then you add the little spice, the little spice. the Diaz spice. It makes the dream even better.
Roberto Diaz is here. So now if you guys want to have any kind of questions, feel free to jump in. This one, Coach, comes from Steve Kim, our good friend, who followed you. By the way, if you guys want to, go and check out Steve Kim's story that he did on Roberto Diaz when they were in Texas.
Joel.
Well, he should do a Roberto Diaz story. But you know what? He did a story on some kind of Diaz. I don't know. I'm getting buzzed.
Is that tequila? Hey, you had too much tequila.
Too much tequila. Hey, and that's the watered one.
Como he said, blah, 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 blah.
Is that the tempered tequila you got? Marco Pelayo already told us. I think you got... He said you got Jamaica on there.
It's a non-vegan, extra GMO, blah 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 blah. But this was
gluten-free.
Yeah, gluten-free, extra nopales. From Steve Kim. He said, ask Joel about the trip to the UK with Bradley for the Witter fight, the hotel situation. They didn't let Tim order what he wanted to eat. They kept switching the plates. What's that story?
What happened was this: when we got the fight with Junior Witter, I had heard stories of the situation with Witter. Chop Corley got sick. His his previous fighters, opponents that went to England to fight Junior Witter got sick. So, and this is a great story that Tim Bradley and his father will always going to remember. When we land in England, going through customs, this guy is like, "Hey, how you guys doing? What are you guys here for?" "Oh, we're here for boxing." And the guy's like, "Who you fighting?" And I'll never forget because Tim Bradley tells him, "I'm fighting the champion, Junior Witter." And the guy like, "Junior Witter?" And he goes, "Junior Witter?" And Tim goes, "Yeah." He goes, "I'm gonna whoop his ass." And the guy says, "Good luck. You're not gonna beat Junior Witter." And Tim goes, "What's your name? Because after the fight, I'm gonna come and I'm gonna show you." So he told him his name. Right. So Tim gets a little excited, right? "What's your name? Because after the fight, I'm gonna look for you and I'm gonna show you. I'm gonna bring the belt." We go to the hotel. We get to the hotel at 9 in the morning, Roberto. The rooms were not ready. They were not. So I'm the captain of the team. So I tell the lady, "Ma'am, how come the room? They're not ready. I'm sorry, they're ready till 2:00, 9 in the morning." I said, "Do you have a room that we can just rest for a little bit?" So they give us like a little storage room, only carpet, no furniture, just carpet. So I remember I told her that it was his father, Jackson, Bradley, and myself. It was 4 of us. So I told her that, "Hey, let's try to stay awake. I know time difference. Let's try to stay awake. Let him sleep." We let him sleep in the room, in the storage room, till 2:00. They gave us the rooms. When we get the rooms, we go to a room, and Tim Bradley's room is not, the AC is not working. So we switch it. I tell Jackson, "You go to Tim's room. Tim, you go to Jackson's. I'll go here." Every night, they were knocking on Tim's room. Every night. You open the door, but Tim wasn't in there. Tim was in another room. And I told him, "Hey, let me tell you guys, when we go eat, before we go, you're going to order for him. I'm going to order for you."
Of course.
So we did that. As a matter of fact, Roberto, I know you've been there many times. We got there on a Monday. On Tuesday, we're working out of the gym, and the commission comes. And it says, "Oh, we have to wait."
Check the weight. Yeah.
Wait, that's common?
That's common. They want to check the weight to make sure you're going to make weight.
Pinche tranzas.
They also
Fucking tranzas.
You got to think on the other side is they're going to go report it to the other team. Come on.
Look, so the commission comes, and we're in the gym. We're in the hotel gym. Timothy had his own scale. There was a scale at the gym. So the commission brings a scale, and they're like, "Oh, we have to check the challengers' weight." And I know Tim just by looking at him. So the fight was at 140, and he says he cannot weigh more than 4 or 5 pounds. I said, "Really?" And I said, he's probably at 144, 145. I said, 144. And then we finished training. Tim takes off his shirt, and I go, "Hey, champ, you're like at 144. I can tell." So he gets on the scale, Roberto. He gets on the scale, on their scale, and he's at 147. And I said, no, wait. He's not at 47. And I tell the commissioner, it says 147. And then at kilos. And I said, no, wait. So I run to his room, and I grab his scale. And then I grabbed the scale from the gym, and I put 3 scales, Roberto. I grabbed 2 dumbbells, 2 45-pound dumbbells. So I put them on 6 scale, and they weigh 90 pounds. I put it on their scale, it weighed 93 pounds. And on the gym scale, it weighed 90 pounds.
No!
I said, he's not gonna weigh anymore, I'm sorry. So even the day of the weigh-ins, I made him calibrate the scale, and I had Jackson sit on the scale for 3 hours. Don't let nobody touch the scale until we get here. And Roberto, I'll never forget, it was the story of my life when we did the fighter meeting, and they introduced the judges. A judge from England, a judge from Ireland, and a judge from Mexico. And I was introduced to them. Did the fighter meeting, whatever. We go to the fight. And after the fight, Roberto, because in the fight, I told Tim, Junior Witter is very cocky. He's at home. The first 3 rounds, just frustrate him. Don't look for him. Let him. When he got frustrated, even his promoter got frustrated. I go, come on, Tim. Everybody's frustrated now. Okay, now it's time to go. And then Tim drops him. Boom. Right on his corner. He gets up. He tries to fight. Tim's beating him. At the end of the fight, when they're giving the cards, I said, man, I hope they don't take this from us. I know we won the fight. They announced the judge from Ireland, the judge from England, and before they announced the Mexican judge, Roberto, I sort of glanced over to him, and when I looked at it, he looked at me and he winked at me. I started jumping before anybody. And then everybody, we won. He goes, what? Hey. And then and the winner, Tim Bradley, I started celebrating before anybody.
Now,
did you go like this? Mexicanos al grito.
Was it unanimous? Yeah.
It was a unanimous decision.
Yeah. Okay.
Even I became Mexican for that one.
The judges, Roberto, were like, okay, here and there. But the last judge they announced, the cards for the last judge was the Mexican judge.
Wow.
And I mean, I just glanced over to him and he looked at me, and when he winked, I just started celebrating. We got this, And then on the way back, Timothy was looking for the guy.
Joel went like this. Yeah. Here you go.
Yeah, those are great stories that we lived that we'll always forget. That we'll never forget.
Those are all time.
I learned early on to travel with a 5-pound scale. I mean, a 5-pound dumbbell.
Why?
Because whenever we got to later on, I started taking our own scale. But if I took a 5-pound dumbbell and they put us on a scale, I first wanted to make sure their scale showed 5 pounds. Because I can't alternate. I mean, I can't calibrate my dumbbell. It's 5 pounds. So whatever scale my guy's going to get on, it's going to weigh 5 pounds, especially in other parts of the world. When you're going into the backyard, you have to take crazy measurements of protecting your guy. And it came to me many times. What, you don't trust me?
No.
What, you think cheating? No, and you have to be political because you're going to continue working with these people. So it's like, no, it's not about trust. It's about him, security. This guy is like, whatever. But let me put my little 5-pound dumbbell, and if it weighs 7 pounds,
it's business.
Then something's wrong with your scale.
It is business. All right, so right now, if you guys want to type in your questions, John Duarte says, Joel, can you give me a bottle of 1942? Stop begging. Don't worry about it. There's no need.
I got 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 bottles of 1942.
Yeah.
Hold on, is John Duarte, LAPD?
John Duarte begging. That's his name. John Duarte begging. Yeah, it is John Duarte.
John Duarte.
Yeah.
No, it's not even John.
No, yeah, it's John. One of the good guys. Here you go. From our good friend, the Ace of SoCal, who says, a question for both of you since you brought up the Tijuana fights. We've all seen some chueco stuff at fights in Mexico. Any story that comes to mind that shocked you more than usual? Joel, we'll start for you.
Not really, honestly.
In Mexico? Nothing chueco?
No. I mean, look, I've been to a lot of fights in Mexico, honestly. I mean, the only thing I see in Mexico, the only thing that you could, I mean, if you want to define chueco, is like they're mismatches, They're just sometimes the mismatches. And it's sad that a lot of fighters, they build their careers in Mexico because obviously in Mexico, they're fighters by nature, but they don't have the privilege to have a training camp, have a trainer, have a training facility. So I mean, there's fighters that are good fighters, but they have an 8-hour job and physical work, and they go to work, and then after work they go home, and sometimes, hey, there's a fight, and they go fight after they work 8 hours. Not like a fighter here in the U.S. that has a training camp, and then the week of the fight is just resting, eating, cutting weight. I mean, the only thing,
Joe, how about this though? How about chueco stuff instead of just doing the fight?
Honestly, I've never seen any chueco stuff. Honestly, I mean, in the in my personal thing, I've never seen anything like that, honestly.
Roberto?
The only thing to me in the Chueco side will be just mismatching.
No, Beto,
Yeah, we see a
Beto,
lot of that.
this is a misconception of a lot of the fans that I always read after the fight. Oh, they paid off the judges and they pay. Look, there's bad decisions in Mexico, in the U.S., in the U.K., in Japan, in Asia. There's bad decisions everywhere, all over the world. Chueco meaning something shady or something. That's gonna happen, but it's not literally chueco because it's not. We're not in the 50s where, or 70s maybe, where the envelopes passed. That doesn't happen anymore. That doesn't exist anymore. And that's what a lot of people always see or fans write. Oh, they must have paid them off. Look, there's decisions that go against our guys, and I'm like, we got lucky. Or they go in favor of our guys, we got lucky. And there's decisions that sometimes go against us and, oh, they deserve it. Like, no. Come on. The fighter doesn't deserve a bad decision.
Yeah.
They put in 6-8 weeks of hard work. And I'm going to give you an example. And you mentioned him and reminded me earlier. Mauricio Herrera. This is a kid who, like Timothy Bradley, didn't have anything special. Wasn't a big puncher. Wasn't a fast fighter. Wasn't anything like, wow, this kid's talented. In fact, he started boxing very late because his amateur and trainer didn't want him to go pro. But this is a kid that's a throwback to the fighters of the 70s. Why? He fought anybody. He'd never backed down. He was promoted by Thompson. He came to me when his contract was over with Willie Silva to the office and said, we're free. Can you give us an opportunity? And I said, okay. You want to fight Danny Garcia? The fight's in 6 weeks in Puerto Rico.
Wow.
And he says, okay, I'll fight him. I'm going to beat him.
That fast?
And I said, look, Mauricio, whether you beat him or not, now Danny Garcia had a tremendous amateur career. Danny Garcia is a tremendous talented fighter. And I said, it doesn't matter if you beat him or not, as long as you put on a good performance. Look, it'll open the door and there could be other fights. Oh, Roberto, remember when you didn't give me that opportunity and you didn't sign me back then? And I said, what are you talking about? He says, I was 4-0. You brought me in as an opponent against a kid 11-0 to Arizona. And I beat him. And he's right. He was right. Rolando Arellano had this kid with a from Oxnard that had this like un pelo from the 70s who was a tremendous amateur kid. Cervantes, I think, was the kid's last name. And Mauricio showed up and fought this 11-0 with 4 fights. And he beat him. Why I didn't sign him, I don't know. And I told him, I don't know. But it was more why, okay, I don't have to sign the 11-0 now. Thanks, Mauricio. I owe you one. But when I signed Mauricio to fight Danny Garcia, I said, just give it your best shot, bro. Just give it your best shot.
Yeah, a Puerto Rican in Puerto Rico, and he went and put on a show.
To me, he beat Danny Garcia.
He beat Danny Garcia, and he won over the Puerto Rican crowd.
Yeah.
And Mauricio, to that day, was like, he earned the respect of many. Even though I told him, look, sometimes a win doesn't give you what you want, but sometimes a loss gives you more than you expected.
Yeah, I've heard
and you know
that.
what?
I've heard you say that.
That loss made Mauricio bigger than ever.
Yeah, you're right.
And Mauricio, again, he's a throwback. Never turned down a fight. Fought Pablo Cesar Cano. Fought
Benavides.
He beat Benavides.
But, yeah.
He didn't get the decision. I mean, he's had a tough ride.
Good.
Him and Ruslan Probodnikov had a great fight.
Probodnikov, Alvarado. I mean, they both ended up in the hospital with Probodnikov.
Great picture.
This guy,
Great
he's not
picture.
a puncher. He's not a fast fighter. He's not a counter punch. I mean, but that's very hard to decipher. You can't really set him up or anything. He does things that you don't expect him to do. His range, whatever he does it well. He's one of the kids that I miss a lot, and we're very close. And I send him a lot of love because he's a throwback.
Yeah, he will take anybody anywhere. This one for you, Coach Joel Diaz from Paulos, who's actually in Texas. He said he met you at the Virgil Ortiz Canelo Smith card. He's wearing a Virgil shirt. He says, is there any former boxer you trained that you wish you could reunite with for a future fight? Hypothetically speaking.
You know what?
Freezer.
Still in the freezer.
I mean, a lot of the fighters that came through my camp, and they're either stalling right now or they're not. But honestly, I can tell you one thing, and I saw it many times. If I would have had Lucas Matisse early in his career, there would have been a big difference in his career, because when he fought Danny Garcia, I lost money because I really thought he was going to win that fight. But this is what happens, and I broke it down to the team after. They were so used. The team was so comfortable because they had a fighter that had iron in his fist. And every time they walk into a fight and they go into a fight, there was a confidence of 95% that he was going to win. So this is the thing for a lot of coaches that don't understand this. When you go to a fight, you got to be ready for the best and the worst. You cannot just prepare for the best.
Beto, they're still in your car, cabrón.
No, I first of all, nobody's stealing the car because I leave the keys in the car. I hope they would steal it.
Right now?
I wish you would.
I hope they do for the insurance.
I wish.
Look, Beto.
No.
When Roberto Diaz called me and told me, hey, Joel, is it okay if Lucas Matisse can use your gym for this camp? Roberto, hey, mi casa es tu casa, Hey, Lucas Matisse came and trained for Danny Garcia at our gym. And I was just looking aside. Even Tim Bradley came and sparred Matisse. They brought
Mauricio,
Frankie
Gomez. Yeah.
All those guys. And Lucas was just like, but his team was so comfortable, like, oh, we're going to win. We're going to win. And you know what happened that night? And that's what happens to a fighter when he doesn't have that confidence in that corner. You got to believe. I mean, you as a soldier have to believe in your squad and your team behind you. When they don't believe in you, you're done. You break. You crumble. And
wow,
going into the fight with Danny Garcia and Lucas Matisse, I bet money. I bet a good chunk of money because I go, come on, Lucas is going to destroy Danny. He could have. But what happens when he gets that swelling on the eye? Everybody freaked out. Nobody knew what to do. And right there is a mental issue for a fighter. Like, his eyes getting shut. Nobody's doing anything about it because, like I said, they don't prepare for the worst. They only prepare for the best.
Oh.
They think we're going to win. I mean, you got to always walk into a fight thinking, I'm getting ready for the worst and the best. If he's hurt, if he's cut, if he gets dropped, you got to have plan A, plan B, and plan C, And that night, the fact that everybody freaked out, everybody panics, that's the reason why I had fighters in the corner with Jojo Diaz on his last fight. He comes to the corner and I tell Ben Lira, Ben, don't tell him about the cut. Let me handle it.
And so that was a nasty.
Oh, you didn't tell him?
No. Look.
I told Jojo when he comes, he goes, I'm cut. I go, no, Jojo, it's just a scratch.
And an inexperienced corner, what is the reaction? So the fighter sees that and imagines the worst. But an experienced corner, he just said it. It's a scratch. The cut was, you could see almost.
Beat your scratch, you saw the fucking brain.
But
a lot of people tell me,
experience.
A lot of people tell me, man, it was a bad cut. It wasn't, because it was only the skin. The thing is that it was a headbutt, so the skin cut, but it wasn't deep. So the swelling made it look like a balloon popping out. But every time he was like, hey, coach, am I cut? I go, Jojo, it's just a scratch. You just got swelling. when he told him that, he never mentioned the cut again. Ben Lida did great job with the blood, whatever, but he was never told that the cut was that bad, so he won't distract himself, and he won't freak out about it.
Wow.
There's a lot of fighters that think that when there's a cut or there's some serious incisions, they think, oh, they're gonna stop the fight, so they distract themselves, and then they won't follow the plan because they're thinking, oh, the fight's gonna be stopped pretty soon because I'm cut. So you gotta let the fighter know that everything's okay, calm them down. I mean, I've been through a lot of fights. I mean, Ruslan Provannikov and Bradley. Bradley's dead. He's knocked out in the corner, and everybody's already freaked out. And I'm telling everybody, please, everybody come down. Let me handle this. Remember, when you're the chief second in that corner, you are the main column.
The only voice. You should be the only voice.
You are the main column. If you break, everything breaks.
Man,
absolutely.
So, that's just the way it goes.
It's
Beto, I remember last week we were talking about stopping fights and when should you stop it or what, and after we signed off, I remember the fight, and it's a funny story because I'm in Canada and my guy's losing the fight. He had never lost before. One of the greatest fighters that didn't achieve his greatness, but he was a great fighter, but the lack of discipline maybe hurt him, was Joan Guzman. A tremendous fighter. I mean, amazing. And we're in Canada and he's losing the fight.
To who?
I believe it's Ali Funeka.
Okay.
Ali Funeka. It was a world title fight. Gary Shaw had Funeka. And I remember Gary saying, turning around, I don't know, 9th round or something, and telling the HBO guy, not bad for a small promoter or whatever, not bad for my promotion, 2 world champions at the lightweight division, because DeMarco had just beat Jorge Linares in a fight that Jorge Linares has never had a fight so beautiful and yet lost.
That was at Staples Center, right?
That was at Staples Center.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm. And now, maybe a week later, 2 weeks later, he's winning the fight against Guzman. And he says, not bad, huh? 2 world champions in the lightweight division. And I remember telling Gary, hey, don't count your chickens before they hatch, or the fat lady hasn't sang, whatever the saying is, right?
Yeah.
He goes, what? You think you're going to win? And I said, no, but maybe we can get a draw. And I just said it to calm him down. Like, puta, you're annoying me because you're already counting it. But we were losing the fight. In the 10th round, at the end of the 10th round, Beto, Joel, I went over to the corner and I called the manager over and I said, I'm stopping the fight.
No.
I'm stopping the fight. And Guzman, from his stool, heard me and turns around and said, give me one more round.
Wait, this is 2009. You're in Quebec, Canada. Lucien Bute, Liberado Andrade is the main event. Guzman Funeka is the fight. Guzman at that time 29-0, Funeka 32-2. And you told him, I'm going to stop the fight?
I'm stopping the fight. I'm stopping it.
And at that time, Roberto,
as a matchmaker, rarely do you really get involved in stopping fights. That's the corner, that's the manager, that's the referee, that's the fighter.
That's not your job.
That's not my job. But I don't like seeing my fighters get hurt or beat or to the point where there could be something. And I'm not, at that point, I'm thinking, we're not going to win. We don't have a knockout. We were talking about it last week. So I went over and Guzman turns around and says, give me one more round. Please, give me one more round. So he didn't take it the wrong way. That's why you can't stop the fight. But I said, you know what? Show me something. Show me something. It wins the 11th and 12th, which, to be honest, wasn't enough to win the fight. And that taught me something too. Through these experiences, you learn. Don't talk. Because I had told Gary, you never know. It might be a draw. So when we get in the ring, I even told the manager, hey, I forget the manager's name right now, but I told him, right now when they give the decision, que no bajen la cabeza, just stay, yeah.
You're giving him instructions like a director in Hollywood. Like, keep your head up, be professional.
Keep your head up, and you know what? We'll do it again, whatever. And they give the decision, and it's a draw.
Mm-hmm.
And what does Gary start yelling inside the ring? I mean, Joel, you know Gary.
Gary
He
Shaw
was
Promotions.
very outspoken, loud. Yeah. It's a fucking fix. How did you know it was a draw 2 rounds ago? And I'm like, puta madre, ¿para qué dije? ¿Para qué dije? Because I said it might be a draw just to shut them up for the moment.
Yeah.
And then when it ends up being a draw, I knew about it. So it's like,
see? That's that Mexico Chueco shit you're doing in Canada, bro.
Mexico Chueco.
we brought it to Canada.
Chueco.
Yeah, and on that card, a young Keith Thurman who was only 11-0 that night right there. Oh, man, this has been fun. Another edition of the Diaz Show. We're wrapping it up. I kid you not, we went an hour and 50 minutes of just pura plática right there. This has been cool, man. This has been cool. Like, and all this is being done by one cigar I'm never going to light, Pepe Gomez style. I'm never going to let this
Saludo a Pepe. Hey, Cancún.
Venga, Beto. Woo! Joel Diaz, saludos to everybody. Thanks a lot for everybody watching.
Saludos.
Yeah,
Roberto, sabes que siempre un placer.
Yeah.
Igualmente, papá, se te quiere mucho.
Hey, let's do this again next Thursday. I think we're on to something. I kid you not, and I'm going to be semi-sober right now when I say this. I got some reviews from some of the executives that I know, and they're like, dude, your guys, because they don't know you, are great storytellers. And I think the beauty of what you guys are telling me and telling everybody listening and watching it is the storytelling. And as you said last week, Deporte de los Pobres is celoso, but at the same time, there's so many beautiful people in the sport of boxing. That's why we love it so much. Right, Joel?
You know, the sport of boxing, it's a circle of a family because we always run into each other. You know, in the sport of boxing, you gotta be friendly, you gotta be courteous. Like Don Romulo says, mijo, sencillo y humilde, siempre. Always have your minute or two for anybody because you know what? They're the ones that are always there watching you. They're the ones looking at what you do, and they're the ones supporting you. And I've always said it, you know, I'm always gonna be there for the fans. Today I did 2 interviews. I did one with Marcos Villegas at 6, and as a matter of fact, he cut me off because I told him I was gonna be with you. I go, hey, Marcos, I got Beto at 8, so I go start at 6, and then it was like 7:15. He goes, hey, Joel, I'm gonna cut it because I know you got Beto at 8. I said thank you. So he gave me 45 minutes, you know, to get ready. Yeah. And then earlier I did one live with this guy from England.
Yeah, I saw that. I was watching it.
A lot of England fans.
Yeah.
And it was great. You know, to me, honestly, I mean, the boxing world to me is my family, and I'm always going to be thankful for what I've accomplished. The people around me, my circle, the promoters that have always opened the doors to me and my family. You know, I'm a very thankful person. I'm telling you. I mean, I'm so grateful. Thompson Boxing opened the doors with me from the beginning with Tim Bradley. You know, Golden Boy. I've always been there with Golden Boy when they brought Diego de la Hoya to me. And from there on, you know, Roberto Diaz brings a kid from Texas to me, Omar Figueroa. And then we know each other from the kid Santiago, De Vito, Mas Barragan. And it just goes on and on and on. And, I mean, look, at this point, we have a lot of stories.
Yeah, it's pretty cool.
25 years, another 10 years. We're going to have more stories. Yeah. You know, we have a lot more to talk about. So I'm just very thankful with you, Beto, Roberto, everybody in Golden Boy, all the media, Steve Kim, Marcos Villegas, everybody that evolves around the sport of boxing. And it's great. And I'm blessed to be part of you guys.
And as the Green Eye Band, our friend Cesar Melgoza says, Thursdays. It's not Thursday, it's Thursdays. So we might have to make some shirts like that. And Roberto.
Beto, I just want to sign off by saying, look, I thank everybody for the support, the love. The love that they have for boxing is the same love that got me into boxing. And look, to support what I go through as a matchmaker, is part of the headaches and everything. It's only for one reason. It's for them. And because I love boxing at the end of the day. If I didn't love boxing, I wouldn't deal with these headaches But at the end of the day, it's because of boxing and because I meet people like Joel, like Don Romulo. Today we talked about Don Romulo. Don Romulo he won't let you fight. He'll stop a fight before his fighter gets hurt. When I went to him and said, I got one more fight for Baby Cepeda, and he said, no, Baby Cepeda will not fight again.
Wow.
Other promoters might go around and said, baby, I got some money for you. And the fight is going to take it. But I'm not like that. If Don Romulo would have said no, no is no. However, I said, it's against Antonio Diaz. And he said, el hermano de Joel, la familia Diaz, you know what? Okay, let's do the fight. And it wasn't so much because he didn't think much of Antonio. No. He knew both of them were at the same level. Both of them were at the end of their career. Mm-hmm. It wasn't like, I want Baby to fight one of my young kids so my young kid could beat the shit out of Baby.
It wasn't a slaughter.
No, it was an even fight that both of them were going to retire that night regardless of the decision.
Yeah.
That was the agreement. And because he knew Joel Diaz and the Diaz family and respected them and loved them. So it was like, okay, let's do the fight.
I love that Joel's go like this.
It was such a great fight and one of the biggest attendance. And
where was it? Okay, hey, look, I don't have to sign off. What was this fight at? Tell me more about this.
Fantasy Springs.
Oh.
Fantasy Springs.
They had to open 500 more seats.
No, wait. The back wall had opened up?
Yeah, the whole arena, the event center was sold out, and there was still people outside waiting to get in. They had to open 500 more seats.
No.
And there was still people outside.
Let me tell you what happened.
We got plenty of time, bro.
I think I had already been working with Joel and Julio. Mm-hmm. And Antonio was like pretty much retired and started seeing, Julio's fighting here. And Joel and Antonio came to me and said, hey, we want to do one more fight too. And I'm like, yeah, no, espérate, not really. You know what? Let's do it. And he wasn't even a Golden Boy fighter. I mean, he had fought Victor. I think he fought Victor Ortiz.
Yeah. Mm-hmm. He got stopped by Victor Ortiz.
He had fought a couple fights and here and there. But it was like, all right, you know what? You're the main event at Fantasy Springs, cabrón. Pero me vendes. Me llenas.
Richard wants money. Let's go.
And we made the fight with Baby Cepeda. And at that moment, it had been the biggest sellout at Fantasy Springs.
No way.
And yes, Joel's right. There was people standing outside trying to get in. One thing I know that in Indio, Coachella, the Valley, he is very, very, very loved is Antonio Diaz.
Yeah.
He did. And Julio might disagree, but he did a better gate than Julio. I think Julio on a couple undercards when he came back with me and he was like, hey, you know what? I don't want to be fighting at Fantasy. I want to go bigger stages. And we went to bigger stages.
Here's that fight. I'm looking at it up right now on BoxRec. August 12th, 2011 against Ernesto Cepeda. And you sold it out. And that was Julio's last fight. He won on a stop. But the thing is like...
Beto,
Antonio.
Antonio retired for 3 years. I mean, Antonio, when
he lost
I'm going to take
he got stopped by Victor Ortiz in 2009, and then he fought in 2011. One more.
And when Antonio said, you know what, I'm done, because Antonio was swelling up already in his fights, and you could tell Antonio had a long career and he was getting hit. And Antonio and I, you know what, I love my brother, and we pick on each other. As you guys can see, we have a great relationship.
Yeah, but he's not watching tonight. Where's he at?
I don't know, but look, he'll watch. But let me tell you a story. Antonio fights in Florida, and kissing me. What's his name? Tutu Zavala calls me for Antonio. But Antonio has always been telling me, hey, I want to fight one more time. But Antonio's weighing 210 pounds. He used to fight at 140. Yeah, he went up to 210. So Antonio will come to me, 210, and then he would tell me, hey, I want to fight again. I go, Antonio, come on, just focus on your kids. And then he kept reminding me with time. And then one day he got mad at me, Roberto. And he goes, I always tell you I want to come back, but you don't want to back me up. So then I
Julio.
Yeah. So then I took it the professional way. I go, Antonio, honestly, you want to fight? I go, why are you telling me you want to fight, but you're over 200 pounds? I go, you think I'm gonna pick up a phone right now and call a promoter and say, hey, I want to get a fight for my brother? You know how long it's gonna take you to get ready to fight, or unless you want to fight a heavyweight? I go, you know what? Why don't you show me that you want to fight? Don't tell me. Show me that you wanna fight. I go, show me by showing me discipline, bring the weight down, and okay. So he started, and he goes, okay, makes sense. So he started losing weight. So then Tutu Zavala offers me a fight against this Puerto Rican kid. So we go to Florida. Roberto, and when we get there, Antonio was already at 140, and then I remember the interview, and that's why I give Antonio a hard time every time. And we'll never forget that fight and the Chon Cepeda fight. I mean, the Ernesto Cepeda fight, I give him a hard time, and he gets mad because we get to Florida and we're doing an interview with somebody from the media. And this lady sits him down and it says, Antonio, we see on your record that you went up to 210 pounds. Wow. You know, after a 3-year layoff, you come back, you were 210 pounds, and now you're 140 pounds. Did you lose the weight gradually? And Antonio goes, no, not really, just little by little. So we start laughing, right?
Lee Espinosa.
Right. So we start laughing, and then later on he cut himself. I go, Antonio, gradually means little by little, you know? So he fought that fight. He's winning. And then he gets hit on the thigh. He gets hit on the thigh, Roberto. And he got a big old bruise on the thigh. Slows down, 6th, 7th, 8th round. He's getting beat up bad. So then Julio's yelling because Julio's in the corner with me. First time Julio worked a corner with me. And Julio tells me, hey, he don't listen no more. He don't listen to more. Please, talk to him. So I go in the ring and I go, Antonio, how you feeling? He says, I'm good. I go, no, you're not. You're getting beat up. He goes, I'm good. I go, look, Antonio, I'm going to give you one more round. You're telling me you're good, but don't tell me you're good. Show me you're good. I'm going to give you one more round. If you don't show me this round, we're going home right now. Starts winning the fight. He wins the fight. He wins a little belt. It was like a WBO Americas or whatever, right?
Yeah.
We come back. The other fighter was Tutico's fighter?
Yeah. He was Tutu Zavala's fighter, a Puerto Rican kid.
So Antonio was the opponent.
Antonio was the opponent. So we win. We come back, right? So then when we had the fight with Ernesto Cepeda, Roberto, it was funny because...
Hey, you know the best part is that fight doesn't show up on BoxRec. That's how good it was.
What? Look. Which one?
The one you're talking about.
Oh, watch. Beto, for that fight, it was like a party. At that time, it was like Roberto makes the fight with Ernesto Cepeda.
Yeah.
And then at that time, we had a little connection with, Del Records. So called them and says, hey, you know what, how about, what would it take for Noel Torres to come and hang out with us and sing, So Noel Torres came and he was cool. He was in the dressing room. He played like for 2 hours while we were rapping Antonio.
Oh, wow.
He walks in, the ring, whatever. So then Antonio's fighting Cepeda, and they're going at it, blah, 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 blah. All of a sudden, Antonio's getting beat. And then I tell Antonio, come on, dude. This old man is beating you, Antonio. I can't believe it. I mean, Cepeda's already old. And remember, Cepeda used to cut easy and used to bleed in his early career.
Cepeda was Chavez sparring partner for many years.
Okay.
But he was a good fighter. He was a good fighter.
He was a good fighter. He had hard. So then Antonio starts getting tired. And then Antonio's been like, so all of a sudden, the fight switched. Now, Cepeda's beating Antonio up. Oh. All of a sudden, I told Antonio, come on, dude. You letting this old man beat you? So, okay, Antonio stops Cepeda. And then...
In the 9th round out of 10?
In the 9th round. Joking around. Joking around. I go, man, Antonio, good thing that I gave Don Romulo $200 under the mat so he can stop the fight. And he gets mad. He goes, don't give me that shit. I won the fight. I go, Antonio, when I saw you were getting beat, I gave this kid $200 to tell Don Romulo to stop the fight. And then after the fight, Golden Boy always gives...
Beto and all the fans, that's not true. He just was telling
Yeah. No somos chuecos, Marco. Relax, Marco Palayo.
He was just joking, right? So then, just to give Antonio a hard time, after the fight, we go to the hotel and we're walking out in the lobby, and then because Golden Boy always gives the fighters coupons for food and whatever.
Yeah, we go to the pizza.
Whatever.
We get pizza.
So Cepeda had extra ticket. So he goes to the pizza place and he orders like 10 pizzas, right? So he's walking home with the fucking 10 pizzas. And I go, see, Antonio, with those $200 I gave him? I'm telling you, we just made jokes. Funny because Antonio was really mad. You know, Antonio, put his heart out. He was doing good. He had some off rounds, but then he came back and pulled out. Antonio had a lot of heart. You know?
Yeah.
Actually, Antonio.
That's brotherly love right there. That is brotherly love.
In his career, honestly, I was one of Antonio's biggest fans because Antonio showed me a lot.
Yeah.
You know, when he fought Mosley, when he fought Margarito. I took care of him when he fought Margarito.
Yeah.
I stopped the fight. I stopped the fight.
I was there.
Yeah,
He got mad.
The best part is
he was that good. I stopped the fight.
The best part is that his opponent walked out with 10 pizzas, and you told him because.
But it was just a joke, though. You know, I joke with my brother a lot.
Yeah.
But Antonio
that
said,
day,
I believe it. Look,
Yeah.
why is he walking around
Yeah.
with 10
Hey,
I
people?
told him, Antonio, you see, I'm telling you, dude, Cepeda is taking 10 pizzas home with the $200 I gave him Romulo to stop the fight.
Oh, that was good. I will end it on that. Hopefully, Tonio never listens again. Oh my God! You see, if you would have told him that the guy went to the Chinese food, oh man, he really would have believed it. But no matter what, let the Ariola love it. Joel always has the best stories. Yes, we do. Thursday Diaz is the show. We just decided, thanks to Green Eye Bandit for letting us know. Thursday Diaz shows are coming. T-shirts are coming with a Maldita Pobreza. We'll do it again.
I got some new shirts. I got some new shirts coming in from Maldita Pobreza. So hey, stay tuned for those.
There it is. Once again, I'm out of trago, so I got squirt. Thanks to everybody who listened. If you're watching on YouTube, make sure you share it. I'll put the podcast up on iTunes and Spotify under the Beto Duran account. This will be available on YouTube immediately. Share, and like, because these stories are fantastic, by the way. And we'll do it again next Thursday. So for Joel Diaz, Roberto Diaz, and Beto Diaz, thanks again for everybody for watching Living the Dream.
Have a good night, everybody, and stay positive. Pretty soon we're going to get back to the sport we love, boxing. Have a good night. Roberto,
Good night, guys.
saludos a la familia.
Un abrazo, papá. Un abrazo, Beto.